Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Today we have Dills returning to the show, friend of the show. So, for those who don't know, who haven't listened to the first podcast, what are you doing? Why haven't you watched the first podcast? Go check that out. Basically, Dills, if you aren't familiar with him, he is a YouTuber, up-and-coming YouTuber. He's one of our younger guests, and he has a lot of things he wants to say. I've got some interesting points, additional points to ask him about. But anyway, enough rambling. Hello and welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Watcher, how's it going?
It's going very well. It's going very well. But let's make this solely about you because you've got a lot of exciting stuff going on. I want to ask you right off the bat about your GCSE results.
My GCSE results, the dreaded results, were emailed to me this morning. I've got them here. If you would like me to read them out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're up for that, if you're fine with that,
I'm more than happy to do that.
we can compare because I can tell you what mine were.
Okay.
I'm sure you trump me in every department. So let's see.
No, forget about it.
Trust me.
I'll go from the bottom up because they seem to be in some sort of descending order.
Yeah, I remember this. When I got my results, it was the same for A level. I spent a good 5 minutes because I don't know what you have, but we got the slips, which aren't even any certificates or anything. It's just random bits of paper. And I was like, really? This is the result. This is what the results are on. Just pieces of fucking indeterminate paper. My language, but do you know what I mean? Like they really get you like nervous and anxious and pent up, and they're like, "Oh, it's so important. Your GCSEs, they're so important." And then when you finally get it, it's just a piece of paper. You're like, "What?
A piece of paper, yeah."
Just a throwaway, yeah, and in a mess as well. Like I looked at mine and spent a good 5 or 10 minutes just trying to understand what I was looking at. I was like, "Is this good? Is what?" Like, because it'd be one thing if they literally just listed all the letters and then that's it. But you have to go through all these different pieces of paper, and some of it's not actually the grade. It's like...
Now, already we have a discrepancy, if you will,
Go on.
in the form of I have numbers. Now, the new grading system involves numbers rather than letters, so...
You do this every couple of years, don't they? Okay, all right. So, presumably then, what's the highest number you can get, and what's that equivalent to in grade form?
The highest you can get is a 9, which is essentially an A, like plus.
Again, why do they do this? Why can't they just do like 1A, 2B? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, why is there pluses now as well? Like, is this America?
Yeah, and why does it have to be opposite as well? Why does like 9 have to be the highest number? I'm sorry, this shit.
Yeah, because A, which is like the best. That is the first letter of the alphabet, so A should be 1.
Yes.
But no.
I mean, at degree level, it's like that. Yes, first is the high grade, and then a 2-1 is like a... I suppose it depends. I mean, I kind of saw it as like a B, but some people say like a first is like an A, and then or A star, and then a 2-1 is like an A. But then it depends if you have honors on top of that and such. But the point being that like it sounds like it's a similar grading system, at least for things like A levels and stuff now. But this whole, I just hate the fact that they keep changing back and forth and back and forth. But okay, so we know that number 9 is the highest.
And number 1 is just quit. Just quit what you're doing. Give it up.
We actually, before you continue, I'll explain some of the grades we had that were funny. So obviously it was like A star to D was like, A star to C was like pass. D was like, it's pass, but it's like, not a good pass or whatever. I don't know. I suppose C was counted as a pass. D was like, it's not great, but it's not like the worst thing ever. Then you got an E, I think. No, I think you got an F, which was, fail. And then this is what I never understood. So, like, you had like a U, which could mean either that you did so badly that they couldn't give you a grade, or you just didn't turn up. And I was like, well, what's the point of having that? Like, why not just have an
Yeah,
F? Like,
there's a U as well, and I was told that it means undetermined, so they couldn't grade it.
right?
So basically, when you're starting lessons in, say, like year seven, or like the first year of comp, for the older viewers or listeners, depending on what you're listening on, um, U is undetermined, so they just can't grade it.
Do you still get, because this is genuine, like people would get this when I was going to school. Do you still get graded or two grades or no, some marks? Sorry, marks is what I mean. Do you get marks for writing down your name and the date on the paper?
No, but for some reason I've noticed a couple times with the older teachers, Mr. Irvine, I'm talking at you right here. He would tick it.
I
I
used
asked
to
him
find that
why
hilarious.
uh,
Like,
why
yeah,
why
well
are you
done,
ticking my name?
well done. You've written your name.
What is he trying to stop identity fraud or something? You single-handedly bringing it down.
I just remember that as a weird, really weird thing. We used to joke about it to each other, but I think genuinely, this was more for English and stuff like that. But you would get marks for that, like at least a couple of marks, just for filling it out. So just putting your name, the date, like the module number, whatever. Like,
Mad. All right, mad.
all right. Anyway,
But in terms of my GCSE results, a 4 is a weak pass, a 5 is a strong pass, and then anything more than a 5 is excellent. Anything lower than a 4, it's a big epic fail. Epic fail.
okay, this is kind of what confuses me. So you said that the 9 is like A star star. Is that right, or A plus plus?
Essentially, yeah. And then 8 is an A plus,
Okay.
7 is an A,
Okay.
six
Okay.
and
So
six
here's
and 5 are like a B.
So here's what we'll do, right? So seven we know is an A, like, and then plus that is like just bonus, right?
Yeah.
And then what's our C? Our C is like a 5, then, yeah.
No, like 6 and 5 are like a B. 4 is a C, and then
Okay.
two and one's just badness.
Okay. So anything below a 4 is bad, basically.
Yeah, you don't
All right.
pass that if it's a below a 4.
Cool. That'll
So
help us
starting
understand the results better then.
turning a push into a shove. Geography was a 3, and I have to admit I did not try in that lesson because my teacher was an app. Oh, I have to censor myself before YouTube does, but it's just I hated her. I never tried. She sent me out all the time. So in return I just didn't do any work,
I
and
had
as
a
a
few.
result, 3.
I had a few subjects that were like that. And I got frustrated actually towards the end. The ones I'll tell you my grades at the end so we can compare. But like I'll just quickly tell this one story. So like in some of the subjects, in year 9 and year 10. So for those who aren't English or international guests, year 9 or year 10 is a roughly 13, 14 ish. So I would mess around and stuff, and then it got serious. Like year 10, obviously, I took it seriously. And in those lessons that I struggled with the bad teachers, I would get frustrated at them. And I remember actually arguing with the teachers and saying, like, look, why are you not trying hardest with us? Like, we're really struggling, like, really badly. We really need the help, and you're not giving it. And they would just make up some lame excuses, be like, oh, you're not applying yourself properly, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, you're not teaching me properly. And you're more invested in these people that are going to get A stars for definite rather than it's also illogical. If you've got a bunch of people that are definitely going to get A stars to C or something, right?
Shouldn't you help them less?
Yeah, because they're pretty much a sure bet. Whereas the ones that are like teetering, I realize you're going to have a few people that are hopeless. I understand that. You should still try with them, but I get that. But like a lot of us were not like hopeless in those lessons. It was like, if you push us, we could definitely at least get the C, which would bump up your overall average, making you look like a better teacher. So everyone's a winner.
Exactly.
But, yeah, anyway.
So moving on to the first pass, I actually received this in year 10 because that's when we did the English literature. We did it in year 10 and then language all the way through 11.
That's
English
weird.
literature was a 4. So that was a week past that, but that was before my teacher change.
I will say I struggled with lit. I think I got a bet. Well, again, we'll come to the grades, but like out of the two, language I did better, and literature was tough. That was a tough exam. Ours was filled with like remembering loads and loads of poetry off by heart. Um,
You had to you had to
oh,
you had to recite 15 poems just for
yeah.
2 of them to be on.
Oh my god, it hasn't changed.
No, and you
Oh
still
my
have
god.
to. I did Macbeth and an Inspector Calls.
Oh my god, they're still doing the. Okay.
It hurt. It hurt a lot. I hate
Okay. Okay.
Macbeth.
Just to put this into perspective, I finished school in 2011. I took my GCSEs in 20. Well, no, sorry, what am I talking about? 2011. I finished my GCSEs in 2009. Right, and so yeah, I took my GCSEs that year, and in 11 years, the curriculum has not changed. They were
Not
still
the
doing
slightest bit.
Inspector Calls and Macbeth. Well, okay, I'll give Macbeth a pass because it's it's Shakespeare. It's but Inspector Calls. Come on, you can do better than that.
I don't care about that bugger being a bit squiffy. I don't even remember the fella's name.
Okay, I'm gonna shoot some stuff that we had to do, and you tell me if it's still on the curriculum.
All right,
11 years, people.
11.
Okay, Skellig.
I don't think they do that anymore now.
Okay, thank God. I think Stone Cold or something. Stone something. Something
I
beginning
don't
with
think
an
I don't think
S.
I've ever heard that.
Okay, that's all right. Fine. Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
Oh wow, that one it varies school to school, but I remember that was a potential. I think so.
Up in the north, in the northeast, I think they still do it. All of the schools in
Damn,
my area do Lord of the Flies.
that's older than our school, so that's been around since like maybe the 70s or the 80s.
I'll have to ask my dad if he's done it then.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. Of Mice and Men.
Yes.
Okay. I will give credit to that. That is actually a good
Look at the
book.
flowers. Tell me the story about the rabbits, George. Look at the flowers, Lenny.
True story. When we read that book, and we analysed it to death, and I'm pretty sure that author did not go into that much depth and imagery when he was writing that book. Like, sure, he laced it with a bunch of historical content and imagery and everything, but not to the extent that we analysed the fuck out of that book. But I was so disappointed when we watched the movie in class. I was like, it was totally the perfect example of how the book is better than the film, because I felt like the character of Lenny, although he was supposed to be stupid and sort of mentally ill, I suppose. The movie made him out to be so much more stupid than he actually was. Like he was relatively, I wouldn't say like well spoken in the book, but like he could. Okay,
But that's just
he
cheap
didn't
humor.
talk.
That
He
was,
didn't talk like this, like he didn't talk like that. Like I
but
know,
like
obviously it's
that's cheap humor. That's a cheap
yeah,
shot at humor. They're taking, that they're obviously taking the piss out of, the mentally ill, because that was.
maybe I don't know if it's that far. I think it's
It's not so much. They definitely couldn't do that now, because
no.
a
I think
critic
you
would pick up on that.
you could. I mean, if it, I think it
It has to be
depends on the
subtle though.
it depends on the character. Like my issue, right? They got John Malkovich, who is an amazing actor, to play this part, and I was like, okay, great, you got good cast. It's a great story. How can you mess this up? And for me, that one thing messed it up. Everything else was all right. It was a fairly decent adaptation, but that particular aspect of it just ruined the whole thing for me. It was like, this is nothing like I don't know. It's all right. Anyway, just trying to think of other ones. Did you have to do any poetry or remember any poetry by Simon Armitage?
I've heard of that name. Yeah.
Okay, so at some point you maybe you did that earlier. Um,
I'm not sure what pieces he did, but I'm pretty sure I've heard
He
Simon
did.
Armitage
Okay,
before.
so this has changed, right? When I was at school, we had a couple of poems that were like controversial, and I think either Simon Armitage or someone else wrote a poem um, about basically a homeless guy who was taken in a cab, and basically it's like the driver basically throws him out of the cab and like curb stomps him. I shit you not. Like this was in GCSE poetry that we had to read, and then like a year later, they were like, "Oh, yeah, maybe this is a bit inappropriate. So we maybe might take this off the curriculum." But it was never like we're doing this. And I was
I
like,
remember I remember some names. Have you heard of Porphyria's Lover or Climbing My Grandfather?
"No, well,
There was literally a poem about this person climbing up their grandfather,
oh, okay, sorry, I just got
like
all right."
getting to the leg and then going up like the hip and then going up to the beard.
Right, so it's
It
not sexual. It's
it's
just a weird poem. Like, it's just weird.
it's not sexual. It's just messed up.
I just remember there being like sexual dodgy stuff. I mean, I guess you could say it was very experimental and such, but I just,
Porphyria's Lover was a bit sexual.
it's weird, isn't it? Like,
But
okay,
it wasn't blatant. It was sort of hidden, like tucked away in the poem. If you read into it a bit, you'd know it. But if you just sort of skimmed over the top of the poem, you wouldn't really notice.
I think things like sexual themes are fine to explore in historical contexts, but I think that like it still should be limited. It's very, I mean, you can really do some psychological damage with exposing people to that at a young age. I mean, it never really bothered me because I mean, fucking hell, I was playing like Grand Theft Auto at the age of 10, and it had no like impact on me at all.
No,
And I was,
I feel totally. I mean, gore in real life. Like if I see somebody bleeding, it's awful.
I think everyone, yeah.
I can log into GTA and start kicking the shit out of a random fat woman and not feel any sort of remorse.
I
Mainly
made,
because I know that it's not real.
yeah, I
But
made, I
if I
made
see somebody,
go
sorry,
on,
go ahead.
go for it.
I was just saying, like, if I see somebody like their nose is bleeding and it's profusely just pouring in the con stuff, I'm like, this is real. They could die of blood loss or something.
Yeah. I said this in a podcast I did a solo one recently on if video games are harmful, and I was just exploring both sides. Generally, my thought is that they're not, but I look at it as like it's up to the parents really to fully kind of explain everything and make sure kids are just understanding that there is this disconnect. And I think a lot of us, like myself, yourself, like we just understood. We were quite smart kids, so we just understood that there is a disconnect. There is a big difference between messing around on Grand Theft Auto versus like getting into a real fight in real life. Like there's
Like people like, I can drive a car using my fingers, so surely I can drive a car in real life. It's actually not the case. I've been doing some private driving lessons. So my dad's been sort of teaching me how to drive. Trust me when I tell you, it's not as easy as you think. It's absolutely not.
I remember like I've driven, but I've never driven like a full-on car. But I have driven a boat, and I can tell you that is so unbelievably sensitive. Like so many times, I nearly crashed us into like other boats or like
I
just
think once I
random
went up to the
places.
Lake District and I drove a boat. It wasn't as sensitive because it wasn't like it wasn't like a speedboat or anything that was like huge. It was just sort of like a gentle, small engined passenger boat.
Mm,
And it's sort of sensitive in the way that you have to feel the way the boat moves, but it wasn't sort of like doing this isn't going to throw you over there. It all
yeah.
depends on the water, actually. It all comes down to physics at the end of the day.
Yep.
Everything normally does.
All right, let's take it back to your GCSE. So yeah, you told us that you got a 4 in English lit, and then what did you get in language?
Language, I got a 5.
Okay, all right.
That's
So
because my creative writing is much better than me looking at something and then writing about it. I much prefer just to pour out of my brain onto the page and then arrange it.
You said the 4 was a C or a D.
Four's a C. It's like a weak pass.
Okay, but it's as long I mean, because the way I look at this, I'll just explain. It might be a bit different now, but when I was at school, once you got to sixth form, it was like your GCSEs are just used for your sixth form, and the only things that are kind of used from that point onwards are like if you have any careers where it's financial based or something, and they want like maths. But past GCSE level, they don't really matter anymore. Like obviously, I'm at degree level now, and it's quite frankly bizarre if I ever have to list GCSEs or A levels. Like I applied for a job recently, and they asked for that, and I was like, what? It's like I've got a degree and like I've worked for God knows how many years, but okay. So anyway, point being that with a lot of these, as long as you get like the C, you're pretty much in the clear. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is a little bit sophisticated because they do it in terms of total. So it says here for my combined science trilogy, tier foundation. So I did foundation for my sciences.
Okay.
But honestly, if my chemistry and biology were as good as my physics, I feel like I'd be on higher. But I got 54, which I assume is in between a 5 and a 6.
Oh, so it doesn't actually say. It just.
It quite literally says 54, 54, 54. There's no
I mean,
space
it's
between it.
pass then. If it's out of 100,
Yeah, that's just.
50% is C, I guess. So
I guess that's sort of like a percentage. So 54%. That's
here's where it
obviously a
can screw
pass.
you, right? If it's because I had a similar thing where we had percentages, but they didn't list it properly. So like it might be like for one module it's this, for one module it's this. But if they give you like an overall, so if that's just the subject and it says 54, then chances are it's a C. But then it also depends. Here's the dumb thing: it depends on what the average is and what they decide the average is. So let's say everyone did really badly. You know, you sometimes hear about how the percentages drag down. So like a C then could be say 40% or higher, which could even mean if it got low enough, then your grade could be like considered a B or something. It really
Yeah, but
depends on how
what's
everyone else does.
confusing is I'm pretty sure it's like in between a 5 and a 6 because it says 54. I'm guessing that's sort of like edging towards a 5, but it's still in the middle-ish.
So what was this? This is which science is this? Which one is this?
This is combined. So this is
Combined.
chemistry, biology, and physics all bunched up into one subject.
So that just counts as one GCSE.
Yes.
That's a little bit unfair. Okay.
Just a bit, because I have a feeling that like physics would be like a 7 or a 6, and then chemistry would be like a 5 or a 4, and then sort of biology would be a 4.
Just as well, just going on the thing about how things rarely change. I mean, there's a lot of talks in the UK about how GCSEs need to change. Like the system is flawed and stuff. And yeah, 11 years ago when I did my GCSEs, we had the foundation thing that you're talking about. I think I did mine separately. They said that the foundation was considered lesser than doing the individual subjects on the basis of that it was combined. I think there was also talk of like how it would be for people that were likely to do not as well. But the thing is, like, a lot of the time it will come down to your choices as well. So the choices you initially made for your GCSEs would then determine which sciences you had to take and in what way. And it was so confusing when I was picking my GCSEs. Like there was like at least 3 or 4 routes. So like it'd be because we were a language school, so you know it'd be like, oh, you got to do like this language with foundation sciences and then some other thing, or you got to do this language with 2 sciences or something like that. It was really not clear. But okay, so maybe a B then in science. That's
Maybe a B. So what one thing that I have to say is they're not evaluating BTEC subjects. I took
I've
health and
heard about
social
this.
care and they're not marking it.
What do you mean they're not marking it?
They're not marking it. I don't have a grade here for my health and social care because it's a BTEC
Oh,
subject.
okay. So before we came on to record this podcast, we're recording this on the 20th, by the way. So this would be out tomorrow on the 21st. But anyways, the latest news I've seen is that BTECs just haven't been marked yet, which is ridiculous because how much time do they need? And especially given everything that's going
I
on.
stayed back every lunch for 4 weeks, topping off everything I could, just for them to tell us to bugger off.
I mean, BTECs are a very flawed system anyway. I mean, I did BTEC business at GCSE level and A level, and the courses that I did don't exist anymore. So I don't even know what they would be equivalent to at this point, or like if they even have the same worth anymore. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because of the degree now, but point being that like whenever they make these changes, there's always talk about like, oh, they should scrap BTEC, or it's a flawed system again. Um, but like for me, people like myself, I don't know if you felt the same way, but for me, it was good that there was like at least one coursework only based course. It just kind of put less pressure in it and gave you one thing that you could at least have like pretty much full control over. Because when I was doing my BTECs, like you could just keep pushing it and keep pushing it until you got the grade that you wanted. Like you could just keep rehanding revised versions of the work, and as long as you put the time in and the teacher is accommodating, then you could pretty much get the grade you want through get this sheer hard work. So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
bravo, bravo.
yeah. Because I mean, I think exams anywhere are a flawed thing. I mean, I know it's very easy to say that and not come up with a solution, but I think that there is a solution, but I think it's a combination of different things. Like I think regular assessments by your teacher seems to be more of a like sensible option, because as well it measures your ability over time. And yeah, you still have to. It's still an exam. You still have to, do it. But like, it's imagine how much better it would be if you did like 20-minute exams versus, with like lesser amount of stuff to work on versus, do you know what I mean? They
So
give you,
no, so you can't have your workbook, and the teachers won't help you. It's just sort of an answer sheet in absolute silence, and then working through that for about 20 minutes or half an hour just to see how quickly and how efficiently you can work.
well, that's pretty much what the system is now, though, isn't it? It's you don't
I
have
mean,
any.
yes, there is like we did do like occasional classroom tests,
Hmm.
but sometimes we would do a mock exam in the actual hall room. And I remember I finished, and then I was just sitting for about
Yeah,
half an hour, just looking for
yeah.
something to do.
Well, this is the trouble as well, isn't it, with exams and tests? Because every kid performs differently. Every kid is different. Some need the whole time. Some need more. Some, yeah, as you say, only need like 15 minutes. So then, and what's stupid is they don't let you leave. So you sit there
That
for
they tell
fucking.
you that if you finish your test in half an hour, you've basically not used your time correctly, and you need to go over it again because it might not be done right.
Yeah,
No, it
which
just means I'm
is
efficient with the way I work, and I've done before I even needed
I
to be
couldn't
done.
agree more. Yeah, I can think of so many times I was sitting there
Just because I'm
frustrated.
fast, just because I work quickly, and just because I work faster than other people doesn't mean I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like you have to check back like 3 times. I know what I've written. When I finish writing a question, I look at it. All right, I'm happy with that. Then I move on. I don't need to go back 3 or 4 times.
I mean, I think it's worth going through it a few times, but I get your point. You know what I mean?
But
If you
not like
finish,
sitting there like making sure you've written every single word correctly. You just have a quick couple scans over.
hmm,
Maybe I should change that a little bit. All right, fair enough. Move on. All right, yeah, good. And then that you should walk to the front, hand in your paper, thank you, off you go. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't
yeah.
get why they don't let you leave. Like, what are you going to do? Like, look at somebody's thing on the way past and then right? No, because that's obvious.
They
I
were
don't get.
always stupid with exams when I was at school. I mean, they would tell you you were only allowed to go to the bathroom a certain amount of times. It's like, well, what do you want me to do? Piss myself?
What?
Like, do you know? It's like, yeah.
Okay, listen, miss. Okay, I know I'm not allowed to go to the bathroom, but you have two options. You can let me go, and I'll leave you alone, or I can piss on your seats. You tell me which one you want,
I heard
because
a
it won't be me
story.
scrubbing.
I heard a story, like just in general in school. This is always dumb, and there's that classic thing of like, you come back from lunch and they tell you well, you should have gone, at your break time, and it's like, well, I didn't need to go then.
Didn't need it.
Right. And then there's this whole argument thing, and like, it comes down to like a lot of kids just go, like leave, get in trouble, but at least they can go to the bathroom.
I think I've done
Um,
that once. I think it was in geography as
mm,
well.
I did it once, and
They
I
they
got
it,
shouted at, but I was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and pee myself.
apparently you're allowed to do that. They like by law they can't keep you there if you need the bathroom.
Of course not.
If you gotta go, you gotta
Human,
go.
it's a human right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like,
Oh, what? Sorry, yeah, miss. I'll just hold it in for good an hour and a half. Goody. Woo.
but I remember hearing a story. I don't know if this is true, but apparently there was someone at our school who, when they told him that he couldn't go to the bathroom, he got up, walked to the corner of the room, and peed in like a
Pissed on
trash can. Yeah, there's always one kid that does that, and it's like, what?
No,
What?
I'm fine. I'll
Yeah, no, fair.
imagine.
Oh,
Imagine if you needed. Imagine if you needed a number two.
I was gonna say
Just
that would be
shit in the trash
so much.
can.
Because the worst thing about that, right, is that you'd maintain eye contact with that person. You'd see them squatting and doing that, and they'd just be looking. Yeah,
Like,
and
they're just looking at the teacher like, "This is what you made me do. This is what you made me do. Look at it."
oh my god. Okay, let's move on. Let's bring it back to your GCSE results. So far so good. I mean, you haven't failed anything apart from geography, which probably isn't going to fuck up your life. So
No, not really. No. Okay, mathematics tier H, which is higher.
ah,
5.
5. Well, there you go. So B,
That's
C,
a B. And
B.
then we
Woo!
go up. That's a B, I think.
And what? Sorry,
No,
say again. Maths and then
and
what?
maths was a 5, which I'm actually pretty pleased about. I think my maths teacher was a bit annoyed because he thought in the back of his mind that I couldn't do it, but I knew I could.
Nah, trust me, that whole thing of like teachers not being happy that you do what, like, their secret, even if they fucking hate you, they're secretly be happy because at the end of the day, they taught you. So if you do well,
It's better for them actually.
yeah,
Say, oh well, yeah. I mean, I taught him, so
yeah, exactly, yeah.
another one in the bag.
I can't ever believe that teachers get angry at students and are like, oh, I can't believe this, that he did well. Like, I remember getting a high grade in RE and then arguing with my RE teacher about it. And I literally went up to her and I said, see, because she said I was going to fail and I got like a B or something.
Funny story. That's exactly what happened to me before I moved up into the higher class. So I was in the fourth level.
Yeah.
It's like it was like so it goes from 1, which is obviously top class, and then all the way down to 5.
Yeah.
Which is normally where you find the school gremlins, as I call them.
Sorry, what?
The school gremlins, the little Rajis, the chavs who don't know what 2 plus 2 is. You'll ask them
Oh,
what 2
yeah.
plus 2 is, and they'll go, "What? You trying to insult my intelligence?" Yeah,
I love
actually.
that there's a northern twang to it as well. I just find that funny.
Yeah, you do
My
know.
my bloody intelligence, like what's wrong with
You
you? Like,
insulted my intelligence, you little wonka. Come on.
I remember, because when I was at school, we had like sets up to like set 8, and I think
That's it. Set. That was it.
for
Set,
those,
not
for
tier,
those
not
who
class.
who watch like KSI videos, there was like a meme craze.
It's
About a year ago, it was like set 8 memes, and oh my god, I was creasing so hard at all of these memes because it's so true. There's something about when you're in the bottom set of something, like everyone's not quite quite
Right.
there. Yeah, like
Not
I don't mean it
not
in a
all that.
nasty way. Not like there's like they got a problem. They're just kind of just not quite in the realm of Earth.
It's
Like,
sort of whenever right, the person who taught set 5, which I think was the lowest maths went. I'm pretty sure I was sat. I'm pretty sure I was sat in my class, and then my teacher asked me to go and get like a batch of pencils from Mrs. Fox's class, and I said,
oh yeah, yeah.
That's set 5, isn't it, sir?" And he went, "Yep." And I went, "Okay." So I stood up, and as soon as I walked in, a piece of paper hit the wardrobe, like not a wardrobe, like a cupboard next to it. I was like, "Yeah, this isn't going to go well."
We had this thing when I was at school. It was actually kind of weirdly fun. I don't know how often it happened. I think it was like once a year. But basically, you get picked to be like the school administrator for a day. So you basically just went into every class that the admins told you to go to and like delivered stuff. And I don't know why they did this. I guess it was like a sort of work experience type thing, and they did it like once a year. And it's kind of fun because you never knew whose class you were going to end up in. Like you might see your friends, you might see a girl that you fancy, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of fun. Um, it was more the younger years from what I remember because
That's what I'm looking forward to about work. This is another topic, so I'm not going to completely rush onto it immediately. But I will say that the job that I'm looking at right now gives me a lot of experience with talking to people, which I don't have a lot of. I don't have a lot
we'll
of
get there.
social skills. But
We'll get there.
we'll move on to there eventually.
We'll get
So
there.
my next,
I'll definitely ask you about that. But with this, I just want to finish this story. With this thing of coming into people's classes, occasionally, yeah,
so uncomfortable.
yeah, but like occasionally you get in because yeah, you're right. Everyone would stare at you, and it's awful. But you just
But
kind of
what I used to do is I used to look at the floor. So I'd come in and I'd be like,
that's even worse. What you go? Here you go. Here's the thing.
no, not even that. I wouldn't even come into the room. I'd stare. I'd hang on the door until I knew where the thing was. So I'd come in and I'd be holding the door. I'd be like, "Mr. Marsh wants pencils," and then she'd say, "Oh, they're in the cupboard at the back," and I'd go, and then bugger off to the cupboard as fast as I can.
What I was going to say on that though is going into those set 8 classes when you're doing that job is probably
Forget about it.
it's funny because you notice like how like weird everyone is acting and how like it's pretty much just chaos and you're like surely every class can't be like this.
But then
Like
you feel above them because you realize that you're like four or five sets above them. So you're just sort of like, yeah, I know my
I
ABCs.
never really had that superiority thing. If anything I just felt like
Well, I
what
wouldn't say I
fresh
had the
hell is this?
superiority. Like I wouldn't be like that superiority, but I know, okay, they're staring at me. They don't like me because they know that I'm smarter than them. So if I say anything, they're just gonna think I'm insulting their intelligence.
Maybe I don't know.
Your rule with chavs is just don't make eye contact and you'll be all right. If you don't move, it won't see you.
Pretty much, yeah.
If you don't move, don't look at it. It
I
doesn't
can't,
know
I
you're
can't
there.
believe chavs still exist in this day and age, man. I thought that shit died out years ago. But okay.
No, they're still there, worse than ever. Walking around the streets with their MC blasting the Winner of the Bee music.
Let's get back to your GCSEs. Come on.
Okay, drama or theatrical studies, as I think it was called.
Aha.
We're a performing arts school, so I either had to take music, drama, or dance. Forget about dance. I can't move without falling over. Music, I wasn't that interested in it yet, so I took drama, and I got a 6,
Ooh, excellent.
which is a very good pass.
That's a high A, isn't it? Or A?
That's a low A, I think, or it's
an
either a
A.
low A or a high B.
Well, even still, it's awesome. Woo.
A for awesome. Woo! I had a funny relationship with my I shouldn't say relationship, but you know what I mean. I had a funny sort of friendship with my drama teacher in the sense that she hated me, but she always wanted the best for me. Like I would
As
annoy her very, very often, but she knows that as long as I continue acting good, she's all right with me. It's
yeah.
like that one friend who's always a douche, but it's kind of funny.
I think yeah. I mean, teachers. I don't truly believe they hate anyone. Like, if they genuinely do hate any kids, then they just shouldn't be teaching. Like, that's just, you
You have to love kids to be able to. Oh, Jesus. Yeah,
know.
you must not hate kids in order to be a teacher.
I think it's more about just having patience. I don't think you necessarily have to like or hate kids to be a teacher, but I think you just have to be like
You have to be very,
extreme.
very patient.
Yeah, you have to have the patience of a saint.
I would lose my marbles in my first day. I'd say, all right, class, I'm Mr. Pringle, and then they'd be like, haha, Pringle. I'd say, what'd you just say? Eh? Get
I
out.
I had a few teachers where we made them cry. And in one case, I think there was one teacher that it was so bad that she actually quit teaching after teaching us. But in fairness, like, we did apologize and stuff. But I mean,
There was this one teacher that got really annoyed in my school. I remember there was this I think it was in maths, but he was like a cover. He got so annoyed that he swung the door open, charged out, and slammed it behind him, and he broke the lower glass. So the door was like, the handle was here, there was an upper glass, and there was like a lower glass there, and the lower glass just shattered.
you just can't act like that when you're an adult, though. Do you know what I mean?
He left and slammed the door, and he broke it. He must have been 50, 60 or something like that. And he
Oh,
just
wow.
broke it off.
Okay, so he's not like a young guy in his 20s that can't hack it. He's like
No,
full middle-aged man.
He's a wound-up old man.
Jesus. That's
I'm
pathetic.
not sure if he's still teaching, but
I should hope not.
No.
But like, that's the thing about substitute teachers as well. Like, they have even less control because everyone knows that when there's a sub, you can just pretty much do whatever the hell you want. Like, you don't have to.
Unless they're the sort of, I'm the boss, you do what I say, you do your work. But then there's the subs that, but nobody likes that kind of person. Nobody likes respect my authority. Nobody likes it. You have to make us want to respect you. You can't just be like, I'm the boss, you respect me, you do what I give you, your teacher said to do this, so get on with it. Don't bother me.
I agree with you. I think that, like, yeah, you can't demand respect. I think your demeanor has to be authoritarian in school.
Like, you can't be sort of, I want your respect, you will give me it. You sort of have to be like, I'm gonna do what I've been told to do. I'd like your respect, as I respect you as well. I'd like the same in return.
I think you have to work out like how best to appeal to the people in your class. You know, because like at the end of the day, some subjects are easier, like things like drama or music. I mean, everyone loves that stuff, so it's easy. But if it's maths, it's maybe not everyone's cup of tea. It's tricky. So you got to try to make it interesting, or at least try and make people feel good about it. Because a lot of the time, people are struggling. And that's the disinterest. Like, for me, I hated
it's
maths.
all right, you'll get there.
Yeah, but it's like you've really got to push them. Like, I never, unfortunately, got my maths, and it's because I always had terrible teachers who would never push me and give me the support that I needed. And it was a real shame because there was a small part of me that wanted to do well. And, you know, sometimes I would have a day where I was doing well and I really understood it. And then I would just hit like a wall. And I had so many teachers that were like, would chastise me if I asked a question, would mock me, like actually mock me in front of the class, which is like, I mean, that's one of the worst things ever, isn't it? To be mocked in front of people, like, because
by a teacher, by
an adult when you don't understand something. It's like, we're not all the same. Not all of us are like.
They shouldn't be allowed to do that either. Like, you should.
Yeah,
that should be
like child abuse.
To report them. Like, you can't mock a kid for their lack of intelligence. They're in school to increase said intelligence, so you can't put them off it. Because they might just go, you know what, I'm not going to school, such and such will just take the piss out of me.
Again, it all comes down to like whether or not people should be in teaching. Some people just shouldn't be teachers. And I think for the most part, there's a very lax attitude in terms of who they allow to become teachers. And I know I'm attacking teachers. I know there's plenty of good teachers out there. This isn't a tirade about teachers. I'm just saying there is a lot of like, okay, if I was a teacher, I would give it my all. Do you know what I mean? And I know how time consuming it is and how much it takes of you. I'm not trying to like understate that, but you have to give it your all when you're, you know, because you're not only are you helping kids understand things, but you're working with them in terms of their self-esteem issues. You know, you're being a sort of quasi psychologist, and you know, you're their friend to an extent. And
but it has to be teacher before friend.
yeah, of course. No, I just mean like someone that they can kind of relate to
Come
on
to.
some level. Yeah, like, you know,
I never ever talked about my home life with any of
yeah,
my teachers
that's
except
fine. No,
my head of year.
it's not really what I mean. I mean, like, obviously you should be approachable, but I mean more like a teacher. The relationship should be positive. The relationship should be that you enjoy coming to the class, you enjoy your time spent with that person. You know, maybe you're not always like really like, oh, this is so exciting, you know what I mean? But like, you at least like being there. You don't dread it. Joe, we had lessons. I remember certain teachers. Like, I had a geography teacher one time. We were very young. I think we were like 12 years old, right? And she was one of the strictest teachers I've ever had in my life. Still to this day, we all just were stunned by how strict she was, because we obviously, all of us had strict teachers, but this was like unbelievably strict. And she was really young. She was like this Australian woman who couldn't have been older than about 24, 25 or something. And she just, sorry to say, but it was like someone had just pissed her off. And then from that point onwards, she was just angry at everyone and everything. And like, I remember one time we did some sort of I don't know why we were doing this in geography, but whatever. We were doing, no, sorry. I think she taught us in history as well for a little bit. So this might have been a history thing, but we were doing like a historical reenactment or something. We were being filmed doing it, and we were all nervous as fuck because it's her. So we were all like this, like, you know, doing role play, but like kind of shit scared that she's going to scream at us, right? Which is ridiculous. You shouldn't be scared of your teacher, right? And I did like a Scottish accent for the part. I think it was, you know, something like that. And I remember when it came to the day afterwards or the week afterwards, when we were getting like our feedback, we were all sitting there like just scared that she's going to chastise us and say like, oh, you know, you failed and this is why you failed. And she was kind of doing that. So it's like, she absolutely destroyed the person before me when she was giving out the feedback. She was like, this is terrible, this is awful, you should be ashamed of yourself, you're a disgrace, blah, 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 blah. And like, we were all just sitting there like, Jesus, man, what's she going to say to me? Like, fuck. And then she gets to me, and then she's saying nice things. She's like, oh, well done, you did really good on this and this. But the way she was saying it was as though I was being told off. And she was kind of doing that thing that teachers do where they're like, Christian is a good example. You need to be like Christian. Blah, blah, blah. And right then, I just felt like, oh, like if it couldn't get any worse. Now she's singling me out. Now people could say like, oh, he's a teacher's pet and shit. But like, I think to be honest,
that's where that comes from, is when teachers praise one person and then say everybody else is shit.
But this is the thing.
That's not that one person's fault.
That's the thing. That never happened, because even though she gave, you know, positive comments to like me and a few others, we were all in this together, like sitting there like, Jesus Christ, man, like, when can we get away from this person? Like, every time, I shit you not, our entire form, there was like 20 of us or something, we all just dreaded it. And when we found out we got a new teacher, I think we all just kind of fucking rejoiced. We're like, finally. So yeah, teachers are,
they're a funny kind.
Yeah, they're either amazing or terrible or like lazy. There's like so many different types, but I don't know. I mean, I think you always remember the ones that really inspired you and helped you. Like I've, you know, got quite a few that, you know, I still to this day I pinpoint as like, this person inspired me and this person motivated me and this person pushed me. And
yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
The final one, languages. I did French. And if I was to fail languages, I could not be called Dutch Dills, as it would be a disgrace. But I got a 6 as well. So it's all good. I can retain my the country name inside of my username. So
I'm confused.
I'm good.
So this is it. Like that seems like not a lot of GCSEs. Was you're not waiting on any results or anything?
I think I'm waiting on IT. Oh no, there's
IT.
IT, health and social. Um, all of the other ones that I did, I think are BTEC.
Right, but how many of those are you waiting on then?
Three or four,
Well, that's
because there
quite a lot
was
of subjects right
because there
there
was
already.
IT, health and social. You don't get graded for PE unless
Yeah.
unless you take it as an option. Um,
Who the fuck would take? Oh, I guess actually, yeah. We had a
but
weird
it's not
thing.
known as PE. It's known as sports leadership.
Oh
Whereas
wow, that's different.
instead of doing PE, you go to like different schools and sort of act as a PE assistant, which
Oh,
is
that sounds
weird.
kind of weirdly interesting.
It was. I thought about it, but then I was like, yeah, but physical education.
Yeah, for us when we were doing PE at school, there was a thing where you could. I was kind of annoyed about this actually because there was an option to either obviously take it as an option, which I guess all the sporty people, did if they
Would.
were, yeah, if they were like actively wanting to become like a, I don't know, a physiotherapist or some shit like that, then they would take it. But anyway, there was an option where you could. They called it like a half course, so it would still count as something, and then there was just no course. And me and a bunch of others missed out on doing a half course for some reason. There was some bullshit that would happen, and so like we basically just didn't do it. So it was like an hour a week where we would all be together. So all the people doing the half course and all the people doing the full no course are together doing PE, but it was essentially just a wasted hour, and it was fun. Like they made it fun, and we had fun, but it was a bit like, why are we doing this? Like, especially in the later years when we just had. I mean, I know they say it's a commitment thing, like you have to do it, like by law, and but I still think that there's this issue of just like I don't know. It could be a lot better than how they've structured it, I think, and they can make it more interesting. I think it should be more often, and they should revise like how they actually structure it. So it's not like for instance, I don't think it should be like a full session of like an hour or something. I think that's or I don't know, like you could have an hour.
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do an hour full on. It's
Yeah, I think it's inaccurate as well because unless you're doing sports like games and stuff, it's never really like that. It's more kind of a case of you do like let's say you do gym, like you don't go do weights for an hour, like you take breaks. You do like I don't know 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or you do cardio for 20 minutes and then you stop. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that like a lot of us could go for that long, like we could do it, but it was just a bit like it would be tough as well. Like, let's say you have PE in the middle of the day, you're knackered, and then you've got like I don't know maths for the rest of the day, and it's like no one looks forward to that after being like it's already tough. Like, let's say having like maths on a Friday evening or end of a day, and oh man, I'm just having flashbacks now, PTSD.
what I used to hate is when PE was in the morning.
See, I don't mind that. I think that's all right.
But then I also hate PE at the end of the day because
Mm.
you can't be asked.
Yeah, I mean, I think having it in the middle of the day is
Because we did slots.
mm.
Luckily, I got like no split, so what that means is I didn't get one before break or one before lunch and then one after. I
What,
had two. I had a chunk of 2 hours.
yeah, we had the same thing. What annoyed me was when they would do one slot and then another thing because there was so many times when this happened to me where you'd have PE for 50 minutes and then you got to run to like your next lesson, and I was always fucking late. We always were, and sometimes the teachers would purposely make us late, like for punishment or for some other reason, and you'd have to explain to the next teacher, and sometimes you just get in trouble. They just like wouldn't believe you, and then you'd
That's
have
why
to.
I always said, "Sir, can I come back either at lunch or at the end of the day, or can you give me a note?"
Yeah, a
Because
lot a lot of us would just fucking leave if like when we realized that we would get in trouble in the next lesson, we were like, no, fuck it, we'll just leave, and then like they would like give us a detention. It's like, oh, fine, but like at least I'm not going to be late for like this lesson and get in even more trouble or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
we had the same thing. Like in the later years, it was double PE periods, which is much more sensible. But yeah, no, doing it in the morning, I think is okay if it's like summer, but if it's winter, that's really tough because the weather. And like for some reason, I don't know if your school did this, but my school, for some reason, they had this fascination with forcing us to do PE outside in winter. So like cross country in outside.
Oh yeah, we did a mile run in winter.
It's just
But weirdly enough, I liked it because you'd be all hot and sweaty, and then you could just slide on the grass a little bit, and you could just pretend you fell over, and you could just cool off a little bit.
I liked PE in the early years. The cross country in the early years. I was like you. I liked running, and I was
I
very
was the
competitive.
opposite. I enjoyed it near the end because at the start of every term in year 7, 8, and 9, at the start of every term, you'd do a mile and compare your times. In
Yeah.
in in the later years, they didn't do that. They just did it sort of once every couple of terms.
I think when we started getting lazy and we started like partying, at weekends and smoking and doing all the things we shouldn't be doing, like a lot of us got pretty lazy and we started to play the system kind of thing. And like, so we would do this thing where some of us would get away with not, I don't know, we'd feign an injury so we wouldn't have to do cross country. So we would be standing there like, I don't know, as like flag marker, and like everyone else has to run. You're like, screw you. And everyone knows that you're faking it. But then you just, as soon as the teacher looks, you just limp a little bit like, oh.
Ah! Like you just hear, ow!
And then they started asking for like doctor's notes and stuff. And I'd just be like, yeah,
Oh my
no, I'm
god, that
working on it.
used to bollock me. Because I remember one time I actually really did, and I forgot to ask my mum for a note.
Yeah.
And I mean, my mum used to not forge notes, but she used to write like stern notes and to say, "Dylan has hurt his leg. Please don't make him do PE. Sincerely, Lily." And I could
I
just be like, "Thanks, mum."
I
But
forged
one
I
time
forged my mum's signature so many times. Like
I completely I didn't like I smashed my foot on on like a stair because I was gonna go and run up the stair to see how many I could get up
yeah.
in one leap. And I got to about the fourth stair, but this was the stair and this was my foot. It sort of went like that on the corner
Ooh.
of the stair.
Oh,
And I got tendonitis. I heard a massive crack and I said to my friend, "What the hell was that?" And I started walking it. I started walking again because the adrenaline.
yeah.
I got about 10 minutes into the 15-minute walk home. Ah!
It's bad.
So
Really
I
bad.
went to the doctors. Sorry, I had the next day off, and then on Thursday in the morning, I went to the doctors, and they said I had tendonitis.
Mm.
I completely smashed my tendons in my foot, so I couldn't walk properly for about 4 or 5 weeks.
I gotta say, like, it never happened to me. I was lucky, touch wood. But like, I remember seeing kids every now and again that would break limbs or stuff. So it was worst if it happened in like PE. Like I had a friend called Alfie, and we were really good friends. And he broke his finger, I believe, and arm. But the finger I remember actually happening in PE. And to be fair to him, I mean, breaking your finger, from what I've understand, it's like painful, but it's not like unbelievably painful or something. But he was a real champ about it, and it was like, fuck, man. And you know, people handle things differently, but I think a lot of the time when you have an injury and you have to log yourself to school, it just makes everything difficult. And like for him, he couldn't write properly because I think it was his writing hand.
I limped to. I had to leave 10 minutes earlier than I normally would just to
Yeah,
get there because I was like dragging my foot along.
yeah. Did they not
I
give you
literally
crutches then?
No, they didn't give me crutches. They just said to keep it rested, but you can go to school. And as soon as she said that, I was like, "No, my mom's gonna take that seriously. What have you done?" No,
They should have given you crutches. That's ridiculous.
like yeah, like
Or at least a
everything.
cast or something.
I couldn't bend my foot. And when I bent my leg, it hurt as well because it shot up the foot and into the sort of bottom of my leg. So I couldn't bend my foot. I couldn't turn my foot. I sort of had to keep it straight as possible. But I remember once I stubbed my toe after getting the tendonitis, and it felt broken. Like all I did was stub my toe like this against like the corner of a chair, but it really hurt.
I think I did that one time actually. Before I was getting ready for school one morning, and I'm pretty sure I stubbed it, or I just really badly hurt my foot. I just couldn't walk, and I remember saying to my mum, like, "Listen, I can't walk properly. Like, I'm not faking it or trying to get off school. Like, genuinely, this hurts a lot." And she let me stay at home, but she wasn't happy about it. But like, I genuinely, like, the whole day, I was just like, "Oh, this is so painful." And it was so dumb as well. It was like, just, I think I was going to the living room just to grab something. I was literally maybe 15 minutes before I'm about to leave, and I stubbed it like sort of underneath the door kind of thing. It was just,
Oh!
Yeah.
I jammed my finger in a door once, and it was the single most awkward experience I've ever... Because I was going to close the door, but I was resting on the thing, so I just sort of went like... It just sort of looked like I banged my hand in the door on purpose. But I was sort of leaning on it, and I was sort of leaning on the doorpost, and I went to close the door, and I realised my finger was there too late, and I was just went...
I did that to myself. I'm
going to lie down.
I had like a family member picking me up or something, and I accidentally slammed my thumb in the car door or something like that. And it was a really weird pain because it was like, at first, I think it was shock. I was like, oh, damn. And then the pain just hit me. It was like, boom, whoa, like it was really, it was delayed. It was like
I think you should make a song. Boom, whoa, ah! And she said, boom, ah! I'm gonna get told off for screaming. I should probably shut up.
Someone should clip that and then make a song out of it.
Boom, whoa, ah! She hurt my finger in the door. Said,
right, so basically, it seems like you've done pretty damn well with your GCSE. So well done, congratulations.
I'm pretty proud of myself, yeah. But that's enough about school. Otherwise, I think I might jump out the window.
I'll quickly say what mine were, so we can compare. So mine were all grades, and I got I believe it was equivalent to 2 A stars in GCSE to do with choices, but yeah, 2 A stars in BTEC business, and then let me see, like a merit or something in IT.
Yeah, that's sort of
pass,
like there's a past merit distinction.
Yeah, and then
BTEC stuff does still do that.
I'm going to list it by good grades. So yeah, RE a B, physics.
Oh, so were you made to do religious education, or did you pick it?
Made. We had to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind.
They've stopped doing that now. You have to choose it in order to do it, because you can't force somebody to learn about religion if they don't want to. That's sort of one of those things where you don't have to.
It's a tricky one, because like I think it's worth at least knowing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to like. I think the danger is when you get people who teach it who are religious. That's dangerous.
That's the problem.
Yeah, because I had a teacher who was like very heavy Pentecostal Christian, like, really took it, and she was a good teacher. Like, don't get me wrong, we had like pretty happy debates and we argued a lot, but I think there was like a weird underlying respect between us because there was like debate, and I think that she liked being able to talk. But the problem was
I got into a debate about it was we watched a thing on terrorism. I think she showed a clip of 9/11, and I think I was the only person in there who had like the balls to say anything controversial.
Yeah.
But she said something about how the terrorists followed the Muslim religion, and I said, "Whoa, miss, they're not Muslims. They like to think they are, and they have it in their head fixated that they are, but they're not." Because I'm pretty sure any god is against killing.
it's very confusing with Islam because I mean I hear a lot of different teachings that say like the prevailing narrative that I hear from Islam that I've read over the years is that they're pacifists. Therefore, it's impossible for them to be terrorists because of that very fact. Like it's written in the Quran, like you not doing violence untowards others, kind of thing. Um, but then there's like different interpretations, just like there is with every religion. You have like variations of Christianity.
I mean, the terror. I mean, for all we know, the terrorists might have their own version of Muslim
Yeah, but
Islam,
like I think you hit on a very good point. Like it's
but they're
not.
not. They're not your. Sort of
Well, they twist
typical
it, don't they? They
Muslims.
they twist it, like just like religion has always been twisted to suit people's
Oh,
narratives.
Allah said, I'm not going to try and do an accent, Jesus Christ. Allah said that if I blow up 20 people, then I'll have 70 slaves and a big feast and a seat in heaven.
Hmm.
But that's blatantly not. I don't even
Well,
want to
again,
get into it.
we don't
But
have to go deep into it. Like I think it's a very basic point, isn't it? That like you know, at its core, all the monotheistic
they're
religions
not
don't.
as religious as they think they are.
That's not really what I meant. I meant more that the actual religion itself doesn't preach that. It's always people kind of twisting it to suit narratives, which historically has happened time and time and time again. Like you just have to look at like Christianity is a really good example because you have like official versions of the Bible that were changed. Like you have the King James Bible, which was literally organized by the king of that time to suit his particular thoughts and feelings and narratives. So it's just something that's very prevalent in religion. I've said it before that I don't think that religion isolated is a bad thing. I just think that people take it, twist messages, twist things. You know, a lot of the problem with religion, certainly with older texts, is misinterpreting or interpreting things in different ways. Because as humans, we can interpret messages completely differently to suit our own thoughts and feelings. And that's kind of the tricky part because I feel like a lot of those terrorists, I mean, I think there is a limit. There is always like a line where people just take things way too far and it's not anything to do with the beliefs at their core anymore. It's just
If
over the
they
top.
one thing that really annoys me is, do you remember when Manchester Arena was bombed
Hmm.
at the Ariana Grande concert?
Yeah. The guy who, one of the perpetrators of that was convicted today, actually, I believe.
That's good, good.
For 50 years. So it was an actual sentence for once.
Well, yeah. But my biggest problem, it's Ariana Grande. There's gonna be kids there. 12. I'm not just saying girls, but 12-year-old girls and boys, as well as adults and families, and you are demonstrating to them why kids are scared. You're literally blowing up where kids are. You can't. I mean, you can't fly a plane into an office building, but I mean, blowing up somewhere where you know there's kids is significantly worse. I mean, did they blow up the arena just because it's filled with people, or did they not even take into consideration the what kind of people would be there? Because terrorism is just ignorance. The definition of terrorism is to scare for no reason, to scare innocent people for no reason. So, oh,
I don't have much to say on this matter because, to be honest, I think
it's just infuriating.
it's one of those things where like you just can't understand because you don't think that way. Do you know what I mean? Like in the past, I've tried to rationalize it and think, well, like how could a person think that this is acceptable, or like how could they believe this was right? And the only thing I can come to, like in terms of a conclusion, is just warped minds, you know, warped realities, being indoctrinated into false beliefs, being exploited, But at the end of the day, it's
Because
taking other people's
it's.
lives.
I recently just finished. I posted a tweet about this. If you're not following me already, at Dutch Dills. little plug there. But I recently finished watching Luther, which is if you don't know, it's a British crime series starring Idris Elba, who's actually a
Idris. Is that how you say his name?
Idris Elba. He's actually an outstanding actor.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the actor. I just didn't know that that's how you pronounce his name. I thought it was Idris, but Idris.
Idris. No, he's from London. He's a London boy.
Hey, London boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like London boys because I'm a London boy. So big up London.
Yeah. Big up the London man. Big up the big city.
London
No.
massive. No, okay. Anyway.
No, but what I like about Idris is when he was in The Wire, he played someone from, I think it was Delaware, and he put on the African American accent really well.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, that's off topic. But Luther is a crime series where it's before the title. There's like a criminal. It sort of reveals to the audience what's going to be going down in the episode. For example, someone breaking into a house and murdering someone, or somebody being kidnapped. Then the title plays, and then blah blah blah. But I always go into a fully sort of in-depth analysis of what this person's thinking. Like, if somebody is stabbing people, like, for pleasure, like there was the last episode. Actually, I can't. It came out in January last year. Your time for watching it. If you can't say spoiler alert anymore, but the guy received sexual pleasure from stabbing people. He was mentally damaged, and his wife was a therapist, which is how they met. But the guy stabbed people and put needles in himself for pleasure. And he's a surgeon. And he was doing surgery on this woman, and he was all right. And then his wife came in, and he started looking at his wife, and he started, like, his breathing started to quicken. And he was becoming aroused by the fact that he was doing surgery on somebody. And it just makes you think, like, how is that the correct stimuli for feeling arousal? How are you thinking? How are you wired to think that is...
People come in all shapes and sizes, don't they? I mean, like, just talking about paedophilia for a second, like, obviously paedophilia is disgusting and horrible, and it's something we need to eliminate. But the prevailing narrative right now amongst the paedophiles, at least, is that they're trying to normalize it. They're trying to make, like, what they're trying to say is that, oh, this is, acceptable. This is just another sexual orientation, or not orientation. Like
the problem with it is they don't know what harm they're doing to children. They don't know what damage raping children does.
It's just sick. Like, they're trying to make a thing that is unnatural and disgusting.
The scariest part about it isn't the fact that they do it. It's the fact that if you ask them, do you think what you're doing is okay? Do you think that adults and children having sex is okay? And they would say that it is, which in itself is horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it's very alarming to me just seeing stuff like that in society, like seeing that actually being debated, and like that those people kind of coming out of the woodwork and actually putting that forward. Like, okay, let's just look at this for a second, right? Pedophiles have always operated like behind the shadows, darknet, hiding their activity and stuff, child trafficking, the list goes on, right? But now people are kind of almost exposing themselves publicly as being pedophiles, and almost like being proud of it, and kind of, like I said, pushing that narrative.
My name is Derek Stewart, and I'm King Nonce. Don't mess with me.
No, but like on a serious level, like they're actually exposing themselves and saying, "Hey, we think that this should be, included in the, say, LGBTQA movement. Like this, it should be included because, it's part of inclusion. Like,
but the cons greatly outweigh the pros.
There are no pros, though, dude. I mean, it's not.
No. But
the same.
It's not. No. In terms of their argument, they're weighing it up, pros and cons. There aren't any pros, but they seem to think that there are.
There's no way you could justify it at all.
There's no way at all. Like, if You can't sit across a desk from someone and interrogate them and say, why are you a nonce? There's no viable argument that they can give you to justify it. The reason why you cannot have sexual relationships or normal relationships with children is because they have no concept, no understanding of what a relationship even is. They're not old enough to make that decision for themselves. Therefore, you just can't do that. You just can't take their childhood away from them.
Yeah, because it's both a mental and physical thing. Do you know what I mean? Like physically, it's not
It
okay because
ruins their lives.
yeah, it's there's so many layers to it, so many reasons why it's wrong, why it messes people up. You know, it's for me, I kind of think about, or at least I believe in that narrative that like it should be considered as like a mental illness. And I'm not trying to say like, you know, in a mocking way. I genuinely
No,
truly
people
believe that
who
it's
prey on children and think it's okay are sick.
yeah, and I think if anything, like those people just need to be. But this is my concern, right? Let's say you approach it purely from a scientific standard. You say, okay, it's a mental illness, so we're going to treat it. We're going to, you know, put people into a psychiatric facility, and we're going to try to cure this. Can that be cured? Can you cure someone of having that sick kind of belief in their
Well,
mind? Is that even possible?
I think it might be in the sense that there are straight people who turn gay. Who they fancy changes. So if someone can go from loving children to legally loving an adult, I mean, it has to be possible. What started it in the first place?
That this is what I'm kind of fascinated by. I would love to know, like, because the thing is, if it was just like a small amount of people, like, okay, I know how this is going to sound, but just bear with me. If it was like a thing like a rare disease, do you know, like sometimes you get like a small part of the population, like 0.1% has like a particular disease, and it's like very uncommon, and it just happens, you know, DNA problems or whatever, like it just happens, right? Then you could argue like, oh, this is just an isolated thing, it happens to a small percentage of the population, blah blah blah, you know, it can be eradicated, it can be fixed, you know, help can be given, right? But because there's so many people around the world that are involved with this, who operate behind the shadows, some don't even do that, some become obvious, you know, it's like a massive
I
problem
think there's
on a
a guy
huge
around
scale.
London called Mark Feely who uses other mental illnesses to shield himself.
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of questions, isn't there, on this issue? It's yeah.
This is really a weird topic of conversation.
I was just trying to remember why I brought it up. I think I had a wider point.
It was to do with
God damn it!
we were talking about like, oh yeah, we were talking about Luther and then weird sexual kinks,
Right,
and then you
right.
brought
So
up
yeah,
pedophilia.
like I think, you know,
I feel like
there's
as long as your kink doesn't
harm
harm
people.
anybody
Yeah.
mentally, physically, or emotionally, then that's okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I believe as well. Like, I
As
kind
long
of
as
get.
it's not illegal.
I will say as well, just moving it back to your original point about like there being like very outlandish things. I think that there is a sense of like ridiculous sensationalism with certain things. You know, like a lot of people in real life who might have like that kind of a kink where they get off on violence. Like it's rarely ever to like that kind of crazed over the top extent. Normally, it's
But
like
like, I'm
controlled
pretty
and
sure
safe
there's
and
people
stuff.
I know that wouldn't be angry if you slapped them in the face.
Right, and this is kind of what I mean about how it's more common than people realize, but I think that TV and films and stuff kind of sensationalize it and make it worse than maybe it actually is in real life. Do you know, like things aren't always as they are portrayed on television and movies. Like often it's over the top.
Well, I mean, people like what people like, and as long as it doesn't break the law, I'm not gonna come knocking at your door. That's a rhyme.
I think that's.
That was a rhyme that Dax could use in one of his songs, maybe.
All right, so let's move it on to. I mean, you said in the last podcast that you're thinking of going to college and pursuing stuff. Is that still kind of your plan, or
Yes, but first, actually, I enrolled in a school. It's called Novo College, which translates to New College, which focuses primarily and singularly on learning the Dutch language, which I feel is
nice?
necessary for
I
me.
think you said this in the last podcast as well. But yeah, this is it's going to be very important for you living in the
I
Netherlands.
begin I begin on Wednesday
Oh wow, okay, very soon then.
from 10 to 12, and then the same on Thursday, and then Friday's a full day. But lessons don't start until Monday, so I assume Wednesday through Friday is just going to be sort of like icebreaker
I think
sort
that the fact that you're there as well. Like I'm still
of
of the
stuff.
belief that if you're going to learn a language, you got to be in that country to properly, fully learn, or either that, or be around people who speak the language often enough that you get enough practice in. So you're kind of in a perfect position really to learn it. And
I mean, I've been coming here for 10 years, a
okay,
total of
okay,
47 weeks on holiday.
damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, so obviously I've been practicing then as well. And when I was sat in that interview, she said, "Well, I have a feeling that you're going in the top class mainly because I myself am blown away by your Dutch, and I don't think you're going to be out of here any later than January, which means I might only be in that school for it's August. What's that? 4 or 5 months."
Damn, that's really good. Very promising.
So yeah, once I've done that, as soon as I've got that nicked, then I can move on to actually going to some sort of engineering school and learning my trade, which is very positive. And
Fantastic.
there's job vacancies at a restaurant near my village, so think I'm going to take it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll say this much: working in customer service in general will give you so many skills, and plus, you're doing it in another country, so it's another opportunity to work on your language skill. I mean, there's so many benefits to this, but yeah, yeah. So
I
yeah,
think
best
I
of luck
don't
with that.
think I don't think I'll be working fully with people. I think I'll be sort of like washing dishes or cleaning up or mopping the floors
If
after
you
people.
can get customer facing, I would go for that. I would highly recommend it. It's hard work, but I feel like there's a lot more to be learned front of house than there is back of house, unless you're training to be like cooking and chefs and stuff.
Yeah,
Because
but I mean, it might be because of my age.
could be, but I mean, it's
Because
different in Europe, isn't it?
I've only just turned 16, and there's job vacancies available from 16. So, but that might just be sort of cleaning. And
Hmm. Well, any kind of work will be useful, but I just think actually, no, shit, no, I've worked with people that are 16 in like supermarkets and such. Like, there's
yeah, I think my cousin worked at Asda
yeah,
for about.
I mean, it's limited in terms of what you can do and stuff, and you have to the rules and the laws are different, but should be
Also,
okay.
do you real quick? Do you want me to turn my light on?
That's up to you. I mean, I
Because
guess yeah, we
because
can see you
it's
better.
it's got unbelievably darker. So I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Take this time to grab yourself a drink or whatever you feel comfortable with.
I mean, he's leaving in the middle of the bloody podcast. What's he doing?
Mother fudger.
What's he doing? I
He's
mean,
off.
you see, what you don't realize is that I have to continue talking now to everyone while you leave, and that's a problem. You haven't thought this through, so you can't leave.
Well, it's too late now, isn't it? Because the light's already on. I'm
Okay,
back.
good. Well, you're
Hello.
back. You're back. That's the important thing.
I am. I
Anyway,
did. I returned and didn't just bog off.
let's move on. You're starting a Twitch. Tell us about that.
Yes, I've made an account on Twitch. I did one stream for about 15 minutes. I wasn't really feeling it. But I feel like my thinking is that once I've built up enough of following on YouTube, such as 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, that I can sort of move them over to Twitch where it's more casual.
Yeah, I'm completely there with you. I've streamed on Twitch since March, and I can tell you that in my latest stream, I literally said I'm gonna take a break from this and not do this because it kind of actually depresses me doing Twitch streams and no one shows up, and I put a lot of work into it and nothing happens. And to me, it seems
That's sort of
logical.
how I felt.
Yeah,
I was
it's
really.
logical. It's logical to do it when you've built a following somewhere and you can kind of, do you know what I mean? Like, if you have a big enough following on YouTube, people will want to, you know,
Come and see what you do, sort of
exactly,
casually.
yeah, they'll want to interact with you because that's the benefit of
Because that's what people
streaming.
do, really. Because all of the popular YouTubers that go on Twitch, everyone's like, "Hi, hello, notice me, I'm here. Hello, say my name,"
Yeah,
and that sort of thing. Which is why people donate as well. They donate like between $2 and $5 or euros or pounds, just
mm.
for the person to say their name.
Yeah, I would love that, man. I mean, but I think like you say, you have to build up a following. There are plenty of streamers that have built up followings in their own right just through streaming, but like I don't know, for me, I don't have really the means to do that. I can continue to play retro games, but I don't think anyone's really interested in watching that. But like they might be in the future
Because
if
that's the
they
thing
care
with
about who I am,
YouTubers, you
sort of.
sort of have some leniency, because you can just call it a let's play, and people like watching those on YouTube.
Mm.
But I think you sort of have to follow the sort of play the newest games and sort of be the most relevant that you can.
Yeah, I don't like doing
Be
that
all
though.
hip
That's
and
the thing.
trendy. That's why I don't like it.
I don't like doing that. I like doing my own thing. And I see so many people that do their own thing as well and do well. Do you know what I mean? Like just because the very top ones do it a certain way doesn't mean everyone else has to. But the trouble is, there's so many people that literally do nothing, and the only reason that they're doing well is because of like their looks or something. And like that to me is just so frustrating. Um,
It's the same with TikTok. It's also
yeah.
pretty much the same with TikTok. Is I have a video with, I think it's on 52,000 views, but I'm only on 300 followers, and it's because I'm not attractive enough for people to go, oh, I want to see more of him on my page.
Well, anyway, I hope it goes well, man. I think you do well. I mean, you're kind of more the right age demographic. I think that's the tricky thing for me is that I'm older and less willing to do more trendy stuff. I'm more willing to kind of just do my brand and the stuff that I enjoy. But if you're younger and you're more kind of in touch with things, you're more likely to build a bigger audience. Like some of the people that I've interviewed on my podcast so far, like not just yourself, have like there's a guy I interviewed called Gamer Jack or Luffy Fruits, and I believe he's about 15 years old. Is a Twitch streamer from Malaysia, and I think he's got a following of like he gets a lot of people in his streams. Like he's been doing it a while, but
Oh
he's
yeah,
on that kind of
my
wavelength. He's doing well.
my friend who used to do YouTube, he was in
Mhm.
my school. He used to do YouTube, and he converted to Twitch. He's just reached the correct amount of followers to start getting monetization on his streams.
Nice, congrats.
So, which is weird. So, Will Langley, if you're out there watching this, sup, good job, well done.
It's so tricky, really, to know because we're all doing it so differently. Like I know I've said this before, but if I was doing different types of content that are trending, I'd probably grow a lot faster. Like right now, I grow a tiny bit, it stagnates, I lose followers, like the views are like just very erratic and such. But like I think what I've realized is that it just takes a very, very long time, and you just have to build a lot of regulars. Do you know what I mean? Like I can kind of see right now that there are people
I think
regularly
they're
watching.
called. I think they're called super subscribers. I think the term was, where you have the regular audience plus whoever sees it on their recommended.
Yeah.
But those regular people is the people you want to build.
Yeah, and
Because
that's
if
what
people
I'm
keep
looking at.
coming back, and you can keep it's sort of like when you upload a video, you're scooping the every now and again watchers and putting some in the return and subscribers. But then every single
Yeah.
video you can scoop, and then it's weird. It's a weird algorithm, but
I'm
that's
just
YouTube.
holding out for the day that I start getting like more regular people commenting and stuff, and like as soon as I have that small audience, like I've said this, if it's 5 people, 10 people, whatever, I would be massively grateful for that, and I would like be so much more motivated to make content because
100%.
do you know what I mean? Because I know that there's that small audience. Like I've said this before, like I used to obsess over the numbers and get like really sad about it and stuff. And I'm not like that anymore. But one thing that I am still hanging on is this idea of building a small audience and clinging on to that and making those people happy, because I love doing what I do. But I want to entertain. I want people to enjoy it.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah. But like when it's kind of disheartening when no one watches and it's like
The
tough.
least amount of views that I think I've got is about 20, which means that there's at least 20 returning subscribers that watch my videos.
Which is fantastic. I mean, that's exactly what I'm
Which
saying.
is,
Like,
but then like there's some videos that get around 20 to 30, so I'm sort of thinking, okay, I won't do that anymore. But then there's videos that get 70, 80, 90, 100, where I'm like, if I keep doing this and if I eventually hit gold, one of these is going to go viral, and then I can gain maybe about 100 subscribers from it.
mm, mm.
But it all really depends.
It does. I mean, I've already had some things that I'm not going to do again, at least for the foreseeable future, because they just didn't do anything. But it's tricky. I mean, I've just started a Let's Play series, which I recorded ages ago. It's no commentary, so that puts it at a disadvantage. But then there's a lot of no commentaries that have done well. So that was kind of my thinking. It was like, let's try.
I prefer no commentary sometimes. It
Yeah,
depends
me,
what
me
mood
too.
I'm in.
Me too.
If I wanna just sit down and watch the gameplay and just sort of help myself along it, like if I'm playing as well, I don't want someone going, "Oh, that's insane! What?"
I expected it though to do. I can talk about it now actually because it's out. So I'm doing, or I did, Pokemon Ruby Let's Play. So a game for the Game Boy
Game Boy.
Advance. Yeah, Game Boy Advance. I did it with an emulator, and I completed the whole game. Did a bunch of extras. There's about 40 something episodes in total. I think we're about 5 episodes in or something now. And every video is doing about just shy of 5 views. And I thought for sure it's Pokemon.
Are you
Other
using
videos have done well.
are you using your tags?
Yeah. Oh, I go nuts with my tags, man. I mean, that's
I mean, nobody sees them because it's
create.
inside of the video itself.
Yeah,
Nobody sees
yeah, I
them.
know,
You just go
I know.
nuts.
It's Creator 101. Every time I upload a video, I go nuts with the tabs. I go very specific.
Very
I
specific, very bland. And then I use TubeBuddy,
yeah,
and I
same.
just put on some of the suggested ones as well.
Yeah, I
Even
use
if it has nothing to do with
TubeBuddy.
the video, there's my little confession.
I use the
I
other one
think
as well. Yeah, you should watch doing that though, because you get punished if you do that. It can affect your
I've
ability.
done it now. I've only done it like a couple times. I think. I mean, it's suggested for my channel. That's one of the videos that did well.
Mm.
Maybe if I nick that one tag in there, it's all right. But then that's sort of misleading because if somebody types in Brad does banter video, and then one of my videos about a Ford Raptor comes up, they're like, well, no.
One success I have had actually, because I'm trying to look at the positives as much as I can, is that I've done my kind of YouTube SEO to a point where, like, if you type in my name in YouTube or the podcast or something, it's all results related to me.
Yeah,
It's just
that's for me as well.
yeah, it's done well. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's
I'm gonna maybe try starting to get my actual full name up there, because if one of my friends don't know what my channel's called, well, they probably would because it's on my Insta and Snap and stuff. But if they don't have any of that, they can just go Dylan Pringle, and then if it comes up, then they're like, oh, There you go.
Yeah, it's sensible to do that. Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Rather than just my moniker.
Yeah, yeah. I do that a lot if I have like a guest, say from like Estonia, for example, and I do, I'll put in tags like Estonian musician, but then sometimes I'll just put like Estonia, or I'll put like the Estonian words for those things. With the same thing in mind of like that maybe it will appear in recommended or it's related. If someone searches Estonian musicians, it might be bumped up. Like
That's one thing I like about both of us is that we're both British boys that know another language. I mean, you know some Estonian and I know some Dutch.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's different.
I've sort of used it as my gimmick because Dutch Dills, it just sort of rings.
Yeah, I think it's sensible for you. And for me, I just like to learn languages. I like culture. I always have. All my friends are European, pretty much like 90%. So it's always, yeah.
Plus me now as well.
Yeah. So I think it's not even like a case of like trying to be inclusive or something. I think it's just there are people that travel and mix and like, do you know what I mean? Because like I used to think like, oh, it's a really unusual thing, but now it's like, no, it's just there are people that like to explore the world and immerse themselves in culture, I guess is what I'm trying to get to. And then there are people that just don't, and it's fair enough. That in the sense that there are people that live every day of their life in, say, like the States or the UK, and the most they immerse themselves in another culture is a 2-week holiday in south of France or something. And it's like, okay, you don't have to, it's not bad, but I think like you gain so much. Like I've changed as a person because of what I've been exposed to around the world, and like how I've realized like all the different possibilities and all these different countries and different mindsets, and some of the things I've seen, like I could never really explain properly in words. They're just incredible, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of fascinated by all of that stuff. So
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, but I know what you mean. I think we are in a sense like a minority. I think I meet a lot of foreign people who, as in like foreign people coming to the UK, who are kind of surprised when they meet me that I'm interested in different cultures and stuff. I think it's maybe in the UK, it's assumed that British people don't care about culture, even though like it's a very multicultural society.
Oh my God, I
I don't
hate
know.
the stereotypical British people eat crumpets and sip tea and read newspapers and have goofy teeth.
I mean, there is that part of society, but it's a very small percentage, really, isn't it?
That's just like central London, but it
It's just
has
very
nothing
small. I've seen
anywhere
very few
else.
people that are actually like that,
You goddamn delinquents! You goddamn children! Damn you to hell!
Anyways,
The fist shakers.
let's let's draw it to a close with one final question for today, because I wanted to save this to the end and have like a surprise. What is the secret that you wanted to tell us about your channel?
Well, I'm not sure if you guys knew because this isn't a normal statistic, and I'm just going to get it up now because it's probably went up. So if I head on over to YouTube Studio, and if I go to my analytics, my watch time in minutes is 774 in the last 28 days. My views have went up by 504 in the last 28 days. I've gained 4 subscribers in the last 28 days.
I just want to say
My overall views are at over 1,500 now.
I'm actually like very envious of you, and I'll tell you why. In 12 months, it's taken me 12 months to get to 700 watch hours, and you've done it in less than a month.
No. This was watch time. This is watch time in minutes.
Yeah, I think I have to. Oh, hang on.
Well, let me just.
Oh, okay. I've misunderstood. So you don't mean, yeah.
Can you still see me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
I'm just going on to YouTube Studio, and if I go to monetization, it'll tell me exactly how many watch hours I'm at.
So you're doing well. Your stats are doing very well then, basically. You're performing well.
I am performing quite well. I'm at 37 watch hours and
Right.
122 subscribers.
For a minute, I thought you meant 700 watch hours. I was like, how has he done it in a month? It's taken me 12 months just to get to this point. And that's not even that good. 700 watch hours is... Some people do that in a like space of a week.
But it's just the fact that like it's just mad. I see videos do really well and they go, I mean, the pranking my dad videos up to almost 80 views now.
Hey, congrats.
And it's mental to see that 78 people have given enough of a shit to
What's
click.
your promo like? Because my strategy whenever I upload a video.
Sorry. Oh, I was wrong. I'm at 1,900 views.
Excellent. Is that complete channel views?
That's complete channel views.
Excellent. Yeah. What's the
So what
strategy
I
like?
do,
Yeah, because my strategy is kind of like I've got a Facebook page and I share onto my personal as well. Share on Instagram. I use Instagram stories now, which I've just started using. Which
yeah,
I
I
don't know
put
if
it on
that
my
really
story.
works.
I put it on my Instagram. So as soon as I upload a video, I take a photo of it,
Hmm.
and then I post it onto my Snapchat with a link to swipe up and watch it.
You know, by the way, you can just download the YouTube Studio app and just download your thumbnail.
I I have done that.
Okay. Oh, just in case you didn't know.
I prefer the more personal. You can see the screen, you can see the video on it as well,
Okay. Yeah. Fair play.
as opposed to just the thumbnail. Um, it's sort of like a behind the scenes look, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I put on my Instagram story and I put the new link to the newest video in my bio, and I just say new videos up, link in bio, show some support. I do the same on Twitter, use a couple of hashtags, put on my Snapchat with a swipe up. Um, I don't do it on Facebook as much. I feel like I should because that's where most of my reach appears to be coming from.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which actually I should. I've got a fly on my back.
I gotta say,
So
I'm kind of confused with Facebook because I've started uploading videos, like everything to my Facebook slowly, and I'm essentially doing this thing where, okay, like if you take the podcast as an example, there's a delay, so I'll
Oh,
never upload the most recent one. I'll upload like the one before. So like, let's say this podcast we're doing now, right, comes out.
I'm actually getting recommended. I
Oh,
didn't know that
congrats. That's
because it
excellent.
says my impressions are 3.5K,
Hmm.
10.4% from YouTube recommending your content.
It works. But
Okay,
yeah.
so if I click see
Well, like I
more
was
here.
saying, I think it's worth doing it because just like YouTube, you can operate Facebook as a content creation thing, like a portal, and you can earn money from it as well. You can get monetized. Because for a while, I was wondering, like, why do people bother with Facebook? And then I realized, like, oh, okay, they make money from it. And for instance, if you take like KSI as an example, like he just uploads a bunch, like he uploads new content too as well, but old content originally, and just did tons of views for stuff that everyone has already seen. So
Okay, so
I started
20,
doing. You know, just before
yes.
we get into that, I'll just finish what I was saying. That I've started
Uh,
uploading all of this stuff onto my Facebook as a kind of delayed thing, as a sort of strategy to encourage people to watch the YouTube, but like ultimately they can see it on the Facebook eventually. And I'm sort of like uploading all this old stuff, and I'm like looking at some of the videos, and sometimes they're actually doing really well, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like some of the videos have actually done better on Facebook.
so you recommend me using the Facebook more?
Well, this is what I'm sort of going into saying, that actually that some of the videos I've uploaded have actually done better on Facebook than YouTube. So I think it's like I think it's always worth it to have your content available in as many places as possible and to have a presence wherever. I think that will always be worth it. But I think the key thing is that Facebook is just a different audience. And I have people who actually follow me on Facebook that apparently don't watch my YouTube videos, but watch my videos on Facebook. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll upload here as well then. Um,
So I'm not sure precisely what this means,
go for it.
but 44.8 of my traffic is coming from channel pages, 15.3 from YouTube search, 11.1 from notifications, 10.7 from people from like browse features, and 6% from external.
Mm.
And if I go on to external, it says that 26.7% is from Instagram and 23.3% from Facebook. And then there's obviously Discord and Twitter and then Google.
So it sounds like, because I have a similar thing on mine as well. Like the external is always my lowest percentage generally, even though I do loads of plugging and stuff. And actually, from what I understand, my videos are getting recommended now with all of the same things that you're listing right there. So I think that like, so long as you consistently upload and people see the videos and they comment and all of that stuff, YouTube does eventually push you on some sort of small scale.
Yeah, because my views, it says 10% of my views have come from YouTube recommending my content.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's my more popular videos, such as my first one and ones that are doing better with more engagement, that pushing onto people's recommended pages. But it's what you need. What you see, the problem is how do you make people? I mean, how do people choose what they click on from their recommended?
Thumbnails. Good
Yeah.
thumbnails.
So I feel like I have to go back and change my thumbnails and make better
Probably.
ones.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm holding out until I can get like a decent edit, like I can pay for a designer or some shit. Like for instance, with the Christian Reeve podcast, eventually I want to get like a logo made up and someone to basically go through all of them and make good thumbnails for them. Because like I've seen it on you probably won't be familiar with this, but there's a channel called Cinemassacre, which is famous for being home of the angry video game nerd character, which is a character who reviews old video games and gets angry. It's just a bit of fun. But
I
it's
think I've seen that before, actually.
right. It's been on the internet since like 2004, so a very long time. It's grown, but it's still going strong. But anyway, the point is that uh, even though the series is still going on and there's new videos and stuff, the old videos from like 2004, 5, 6, 7, they've gone back and they've made thumbnails for them using like a mixture of like the new logo, but then with like an old image of the guy, James Rolfe, playing the character, right? So they've really gone back and made an effort, even though those videos are like, some are like 15 years old or 13 years old or something. So there's something to be said for it.
Are you aware Are you aware of channel branding?
Would you mean like
So
just up having like banners and shit on your page and just
no, just having like a subscribe sort of thing in the bottom right. Like, do you know when you're watching a video like on your phone or something, and at the bottom there's sort of like create a logo, and if you hover over it on your laptop or if you press on it, it brings up a subscribe button.
I think I've seen that
Apparently
before.
apparently that's one of the golden tools to get people to subscribe
I
because
have
then they
no
can
idea how
subscribe
to
inside
add
of the
that.
video. It's in YouTube Studio. Just I mean, just sort of watch a video on how to add channel brand, and you'll be like, ah,
I'm gonna look
it's in
into this now.
YouTube.
Yeah.
You really should. So channel branding, of course.
I need an editor, man. I need to just someone to do this shit for me.
I mean, the person who made my banner and my profile picture
Yeah.
is a close friend of mine who likes to help. If you're watching this, thank you, Louis. You're doing a good job.
All right, yeah.
Doing good, man. Even though you use the Fortnite sort of the friggin' Fortnite font, I got the shit kicked out of me a little bit.
Well, listen,
But thank you.
it sounds like you're doing very well on YouTube, and I'm very happy to hear that. I look forward to seeing like more of the sort of stuff based around you just being in Holland, and I think a lot of people, especially UK fans, are going to really appreciate that too. I
I
know a lot
mean,
of
I've just checked and like I think it was 97% of my audience were from the UK.
Yeah. Hmm.
But it's still mad to see that 55% of them are not subscribed. Madness.
Yeah, it's always that way.
Madness.
I think it's for me. It's like 80% are not subscribed or something. But
It's an ouchie. It's
I
an
think
ouchie, is what
for
it
me
is.
though, I don't push it. I never ask people to subscribe to me, and I think maybe that might have a difference if I started doing that. But it's my thing that I don't do that. I just
I mean, I'm not asking for subscribers. I just sort of, I mean, I'm not even doing it as a joke either.
no,
I'm
but
just
even
sort
just
of
saying it is what I'm trying to get to.
alerting,
If you just
alerting
say it,
people of the
you say the
statistic.
words, like you just say like, you know, then it gets in people's minds. And I
Well,
think because I don't do that.
in some people's that I've seen, it actually has worked.
Mm,
Because there's a YouTuber that I watch called Ewan Thiakaran. He's a racing YouTuber, and he started saying it, and I saw the percentage as the videos went on go down.
mm. I guess it varies for every YouTuber, but
Like, because he sort of does it in a funny way,
mm,
where he sort of says, and before we get into this video, 51% of you unsubscribed. Madness. If you don't subscribe, yeah, if that number doesn't change, I'll shank you in. Big up. And he, in his in his most recent video, he picked up a Dyson Hoover. He said, "I'll Mike Dyson you." It was kind of funny. I just don't know why he picked up a Hoover.
and on
Mike
that
Dyson.
note, I
And
think
on that bombshell.
we'll end it there. But thank you so much for appearing, man. And just you want to say
Don't
any
worry, I'll keep Ewan away from you guys. He's on the run.
just want to say again, like, thanks for appearing. Congratulations on your GCSE results. I hope the rest of them turn out well. I'm sure they will. Best of luck with the Twitch. I'll be interested to see what you come up with on that. And I'd say go for it as well. I think you have a better chance than most just because you have that quirky kind of sense of humor. And I think people would be interested in that. And yeah, in general, just keep doing what you're doing with YouTube. I think you're doing very well. And
Thank you.
yeah,
You're doing a good job as well. I stop by your channel every so often and just sort of catch up a little bit.
well, thank you very
And you
much.
should definitely subscribe. What are you doing? This man is good, yeah?
I guess
Bombu clat.
time will tell with that one. We're still very early days, but I mean, you know, I do have to kind of say
Got
that
to start somewhere.
yeah, we the weird thing about it that I find, and I'll just leave this on a final note, is that like a lot of my friends on YouTube have said, you know, you have to sit back and celebrate successes, and you know, for instance, I've got up to like 25K views on the channel, which is amazing. 450 subscribers, which when you think that, you know, this time last year or a bit before then, I was on maybe 80, 90 subscribers. So there's a lot of growth in that period. And I think now there's more regular structured content. It's like there's vlogs, there's the podcast, there's, you know, I mean, little things here and there that people can look forward to as opposed to just random.
Yeah.
But again, and this is why I'm very skeptical of everything, at least on my channel, because when I compare it to other people's, I don't do it in a negative way. I don't get like annoyed anymore or upset, but I do look at it like, you know, if you take yours as an example, every time 20 views, you've got those regular views coming in, right? But mine are too erratic. You know, I can't really learn anything from mine as much as I try to. I try to keep my content consistent as much as I can, and you know, I try to focus on just doing what I love now instead of like what I think will work. But there are certain things that I've stopped doing, not just because I maybe don't think it's working, but also because I don't enjoy it, and I'm thinking like, there's no point just doing stuff because you want to try and get views. But
It's
I
just
think
all about finding that one video that just goes mad.
I mean, I do wonder about that sometimes. I do wonder if that's what it will be. But the funny thing about that is it could come at any time. It could come right now. It could be 5 years from now. Do you know what I mean? And then
But that's how
suddenly,
that's how it always happens. Is like that
yeah,
one viral video. But the problem is the viral video that you have to make, or you have to make sure that your viral video is like your other content.
yeah.
Because then if you look at your channel and it's something completely different, they won't bother to subscribe.
What I think is yeah, this is, I've said this before as well. Like, there's no point creating a video just to get views and then, people just subscribe like crazy and then don't want to watch your content. I mean, that's counterproductive, isn't it? But my approach now is I always just put in like the maximum effort into like main channel content. Second channel, I don't care. I just do whatever the hell I want. But main channel is like, I plan it. Like, if you take the podcast as an example, I think probably eventually this is going to take over the channel.
I mean, since when? I mean, when was the first time I called you up to talk about this specific podcast? It was a little less. It was like 5 or 6 days ago, wasn't it?
Possibly, yes. Yeah.
It was quite a while ago, and I just sort of said, yeah, you want to have a recurring visitor, and then we talked about what we want to do, and you planned it. You wrote it down.
Well,
That
I
just
do
shows
that. I do that
the
with
effort that you put in.
No, I mean, like, I from day one, I knew that this would have to be planned. I did think about having it as a very, chatty podcast like I'd done in the past or like other people do, but it doesn't really fit me. And I've discovered actually through this, I mean, and this is why you should always try different things in life, and like why there's value in just putting yourself out there and trying things. I really like to interview people. It's interesting. It's fun. I'm able to do it in a professional way where I think I make the people feel comfortable. And one thing I realized I'm able to do as well, which is really cool, is make people feel comfortable. So you can give me someone who's like really shy and not great at talking, and I can make them talk. I can make them comfortable. Some people on the podcast have shared things that, from what I understand, they normally wouldn't share.
I did that the first time I came
Right.
on.
It's,
I went really deep.
I think it's about feeling comfortable with the person you're talking to, and feeling like there's no ulterior motives, that they're not trying to, because for me, at the heart of the interviews, I want people to be put over in the best way, and then repeat guests such as yourself are, it's an opportunity to catch up with you, see where you're at, see what you're doing. But yeah, also to just chat about things in general. And basically, I guess the point I'm trying to get to is that, like, I started with one thing and now it's kind of evolved into different things. There's different things that I do with this, but from what I can see, people are mostly enjoying like the interviews. That seems to be like what people are into. And I enjoy it too. But yeah, it takes a lot of work, and I have to think about it, and every guest is different, so I have to approach it differently with every guest. But I genuinely think that this is probably going to take over the channel. Like, I'll always do vlogs. I'll always, do video because I like to make that. And I'll always do acting and music because I love those things too. But whether or not you see me doing gaming vids, reaction videos, that kind of stuff, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I'll definitely do Urbex again when I can get a crew together and stuff, because I love doing that. But yeah, I think this might be the thing that the channel leads with potentially. So we'll see.
Also, a final thing, I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention this. What's going to happen with that acting video that we made together? The sort of, obviously, distanced. You knew I was going to ask this, didn't you?
Yeah.
You saw this. You saw this coming.
I'm going to be really honest.
I don't mind if it doesn't get uploaded.
It will get uploaded.
It
will get uploaded.
Is
the thing.
I thought I could have done better.
This is the thing. When I found out it was out of order, like it wasn't in order, I became so demotivated. in terms of doing it, because I know how long it's going to take. And then I started realizing all the other shit I got to do on top of it. So not only do I have to order it, but I also have to clip it and edit it. And then I got to find music that fits, that can be used.
And the thing is we had a little misunderstanding because you thought it was going on my channel, I thought it was going on yours. So we sort of got lost in translation a little bit there.
Yeah, that's a minor issue though. I did think actually though, again, I wanted it to go on yours because I wanted you to try to see what you could come up with. And also, I'm just going to be for real because I'm always honest about these things. I don't give a fuck. It's exposure for me because I'm on your channel, and I'm always looking for opportunities to collab with people and appear on their channel. And I think anyone that does YouTube should always do that because the more places you are in, the more you're seen.
I just saw it as a fun sort of little acting experiment.
Yeah,
really.
no, and like again, like I love acting anyway, so I would do it anyway. I'm just saying that like that was my thought going into it was, I can appear on his channel and it's a collab opportunity. And
you will appear on my channel eventually. Don't you worry about that.
Well,
you will appear eventually.
I'm interested to know in what capacity, because now that we're in different countries, that's going to be somewhat difficult.
maybe on one of my visits we can do a vlog.
Maybe, yeah. Or if you start up your own podcast, maybe you will. Because there's
all right. If you're listening.
Everyone.
Right, viewers, if you're listening, if you've tuned in, if you're still here 2 hours in, 5 likes, and I can guarantee a vlog with me and Christian Reeve. How about that?
Oh, well, damn. There you go. He said
5 likes.
5 likes and it'll happen.
10 vlogs. 10 vlogs equals 2 vlogs, and so on. Goes up in the 5 times table. 5 times table? Oh, man. I'm tired.
All right. Well, let's draw it to a close there. We're all tired. We've all had a good chat here, and no, it's been a lot of fun having you back on the show, and you're always
been great to be here.
To everyone listening on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, I do hope indeed that everyone does come and check out the podcast on YouTube, because it's video podcasts now, so it's an opportunity to see us. I will eventually stop talking about this, but right now it's fresh, it's new, it's interesting, and
see, I can wave at Christian.
But the thing is, that's the thing. No one knows on Spotify or Anchor or anywhere else that.
Nobody knows what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, they don't know what you're doing.
I'm waving. I'm not doing anything rude. I promise.
Right. But yeah, basically, everyone who's listening, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you. I love doing this, as you know. And yeah, if you'd like to appear on the podcast, or anyone that would like to appear on the podcast, who'd like exposure, send them my way. I would love to interview them. I love doing this. I'm always looking for new guests, new people to talk to learn about. Just in general, this whole experience is fantastic, and I'm learning a lot from it, and I'm really enjoying it. And I hope you are too. And once again, thank you very much, Dylan, for appearing. As always, it's a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Christian Reeve podcast. And until next time, peace out, one love. Ciao.